Hey everybody, welcome to Films and Fermentation, episode 37. This is season 2. I don't remember what episode in season 2 it is. I've already lost track. But overall, it is episode 37 total. Tonight we are doing film fan theories, those things that you see online from all those crazy fanatics who have a lot to say about the movies that they watch. So in this episode, we'll be diving into those fan theories that have made the internet rounds. We'll be looking at some popular theories, some crazy theories, and some that, believe it or not, were actually proven to be true. So thank you for joining us here at the intersection of pickled and fermented. I am Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
And thank you for joining us on this journey. Make sure you email us at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com. Drop us a line, give us some suggestions, give us some a drink order if you like. Visit us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram and Facebook. And check out our website. We've recently added a new blog section, and there are 3 blogs on there already. I've been busy. We've also been recording some mini pods in between. If you get a chance, please check out the mini pods. They're very short. They're usually between like 5 and 10 minutes. And it's just our review of certain films or shows that we watched. So in the last week, I dropped a mini pod on Dune 2021, and I dropped a mini pod on Squid Game. And I changed the format for the mini pods a little bit. I added a drink recommendation as well to the mini pod.
Nice.
So
I love it when octopuses play chess.
Yes. So for Squid Game, I recommended soju, which is a Korean whiskey. And it's what one of the characters in the show is always drinking. And for Dune, since it's all about the spice, I recommended the spiced rum from Secrets Distillery in Ocean City, Maryland, which my good friend Kevin bought for me. And I'm drinking a beer tonight that my good friend Mike bought for me. It's nice to get pickled when you don't have to pay for it yourself.
That's true.
So, Mike, why don't you regale us with a little bit of this day in film history?
In this day in film history in 1938, a radio broadcast of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds, narrated by Orson Welles, allegedly caused a mass panic.
I love the Orson Welles. I actually have a CD that is the entire original radio broadcast.
Nice.
And I used to play it for my students at Halloween time in school because it was kind of cool just to listen to it a little bit. And you can kind of tell, like, if you were a person around at that time and you didn't hear the disclaimer that says this is just a radio show, how you can really believe it was an actual news program.
Okay.
Because the show was set up as a musical program, and they would cut into the musical program with updating news reports. And then they would go to the field and talk to people and witnesses and all that stuff. So people, it did cause a panic. The FCC contacted Orson Welles during the show and forced him to do another disclaimer halfway through the show. What's your other one you got there?
In 2012, Walt Disney Company purchased Lucasfilms Ltd. and its rights to Star Wars and Indiana Jones franchises for $4.05 billion.
$1 billion. And opinions are still out as to whether or not that was a good move.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't MGM Studios have an Indiana Jones stunt spectacular? Where
Yes.
Where did that? How did that
Hollywood,
get affiliated?
Hollywood Studios, as it's called now, has.
Oh, it'll always be MGM to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Man.
I'm just telling you what it's called now. Does have it.
They have to call it Hollywood Studios now because they own every studio in Hollywood.
I'm sure they had deals with Lucas for those, because they also had Star Tours too. So they've had dealing with them.
They did. Yeah, they did.
They had the Indiana Jones thing during the Great Movie Ride too.
Right.
Yep. Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they have to call it Hollywood Studios. Otherwise, they'd have to call it MGM, Warner Brothers, Lucasfilm, Sony, Fox, AOL. Yeah.
They don't own Sony yet, right?
Time Warner Industries.
Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Don't get it. Oh no, wait, they do own Sony, don't
They
they?
own Sony. I thought they did. Or they at least
No,
they at least
own
have
Fox.
they at least have a working agreement with Sony to continue to use like Spider-Man and all that.
Yeah, because that's the meme. How much for Spider-Man? Not
Yeah.
for sale. How much for the company?
That's like it's like Bruce Wayne and Batman Begins. He just buys the restaurant. So the third fact we have on the list, I added myself because it's one of my favorite films. And I was excited when I saw this on Facebook today. On this day in 1988, They Live was released. The John Carpenter classic, starring Roddy Piper, my favorite wrestler of all time, and Keith David has the greatest one-liner of all time. Came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Which is, when you two text me on our podcast text, that's what comes up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Chew bubblegum and kick ass. Yeah, I love that. And here's another great line too, where he sees he puts the sunglasses on for the first time and he's staring at a woman and he sees the alien face behind hers. And she's like, "What are you staring at?" And he's like, You are one ugly bitch.
You're okay.
You're okay, but you're fucking ugly. So what do we got for our fun drink fact?
Fun drink fact. It's illegal to get a fish drunk in Ohio.
What about the other 49 states?
Apparently it's fine.
I
How
kind
do
of
you
want to
know
know
it
how
was
that
illegal?
would work.
Yeah, how do you get
I'm
a fish
guessing
drunk?
you'd have to have water and then just slowly add alcohol into the water so that it would be, so you don't want it to go too far, not enough to kill the fish, but just enough to get it, good and toasted.
What's sad is somebody had to actually do it for it to become illegal.
Someone had to actually do it and get caught. Like somebody's dropping a goldfish in a bowl of bourbon just to see what happened. Go get your fish drunk in Ohio. So I got some notes from the last show. Our last episode was a couple weeks ago, and we did voices that are impossible to get wrong, voices that are easily recognizable. We had a lot of voices on that list and a lot of bad impressions that night. We had some Arnold Schwarzenegger, some Chris Walken. We had some Marilyn Monroe. We had a lot of really famous names on the list. But then as I'm thinking about it afterwards, because I always listen to the episode after I post it and then regret some things we say and regret some things we forget about afterwards. And I regret to say we forgot a lot of voices on that list that were pretty recognizable. Lucille Ball, I think, is a pretty recognizable voice. Steve Martin is pretty recognizable. Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder, Bill Murray, Keanu Reeves, Marlon Brando, pretty recognizable. I can't believe we forgot Marlon Brando. And then the worst sin of them all, we fucking forgot Al Pacino. How do you forget Al fucking Pacino on a list of voices that are unrecognizable? I was watching The Godfather. And I was like, wait, did we put Pacino on the list? And I went back and looked at the list and listened to the show, and I was like, holy shit, we forgot Pacino. How do we do that?
One that stands out to me is Bill Murray, because Bill Murray's got a very distinct sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I always associated him with, even though he didn't originally do Garfield, or at least the Garfield from the animated show, he sounded like, he had that same kind of sound to him.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm finding out that Chris Pratt is now going to do the voice of Garfield in the next Garfield movie.
Really? That's a weird one. Here's a tidbit of trivia for you. So Bill Murray did the voice of Garfield in the Garfield movie. The Garfield cartoon was voiced by a guy named Lorenzo Music. Lorenzo Music also voiced the character of Venkman in the Ghostbusters cartoon series.
Right. Which is played by Bill Murray,
which was the Bill Murray character. So they have very similar voices. Speaking of Chris Pratt, I'm going to jump ahead then to one of my other things I have on here. There's a new Mario Brothers movie in production. A new Super Mario Brothers film. I'm not sure if it's animated or live action, because it's only in like pre-production right now. They haven't started filming it yet. But from what I was looking at online with this, the new Mario Brothers movie, if it'll ever come up, here it is. Untitled Illumination Entertainment Project. Plumber named Mario travels through an underground labyrinth with his brother Luigi, trying to save a captured princess. Feature film adaptation of the popular video game. Oh, it is an animated film.
Okay.
But the voice of Mario, Chris Pratt.
Mario.
Luigi is Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Anya Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach. Jack Black is the voice of Bowser. Seth Rogen is playing Donkey Kong. I don't know where he comes in the Super Mario Brothers games.
Sounds like it's a Mario Kart movie.
Because Donkey Kong was the original game that Mario showed up in.
And Italian comedian Sebastian Maniscalco will be playing Spike.
Is this going to be done by Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton?
Yeah, right. That would make it even better. Annabelle Jankel, they were a married couple who directed the first Mario Brothers film, which has a 4.1 on IMDb. Which Bob Hoskins was drunk during the entire production and regrets ever filming it.
This is what I think about it.
It is a bad film. I just watched it. I just listened recently. There's another podcast I listen to called The Flophouse, and they watch a bad movie and then they talk about it on the show. And they did Super Mario Brothers recently, but they actually had one of the writers on the show to talk about it, and it was hilarious because he was basically like, I was a writer, but I was one of 30 writers. Like they just kept bringing in new writers and changing things on set. The directors had no idea what the video game was.
Good Lord.
So what you get is this weird neo-noir
where everybody de-evolves into dinosaurs.
And the Goombas.
I didn't think dinosaurs were that big of a thing in it. I remember turtles.
Yoshi. That's the only dinosaur I remember from the game was Yoshi. Yeah. And Yoshi's like a velociraptor or something in that movie. All right, on to some happier news. Hulu has put into pre-production Mel Brooks's History of the World Part 2 as a series. And I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be awesome. Mel Brooks is part of the production crew. He's one of the writers. They have a bunch of comedians on staff writing it. I'm just hoping that they can do, the same kind of History of the World that they did before and not have to water it down because of offending anybody.
Two things. They got to water it down a little bit because they don't want to offend anybody. And number two, Hulu's owned by Disney.
Yeah. Well, that's why they put shows like that on Hulu, because it's it's the Disney adjacent.
It's Disney After Dark.
Disney After Dark.
It's their TV touch tone.
Yeah, if they ever do another Daredevil or Punisher series, it'll probably be on Hulu. All right. I got a show recommendation for you, which we talked about this before. Netflix series or Netflix show, Attack of the Movie Cliches.
Yep.
It's hosted by Rob Lowe. It's only an hour long, but they attack just about every cliche you can think of, and it's pretty hilarious because they're in every movie. And there's the superhero pose. There's the Wilhelm scream. There's the hero that never runs out of bullets. It's a really cool show, so I recommend checking it out. And then my last thing is we have some major releases coming out now. We have Venom 2, which I think was just released. Venom. Yep. What is it called? The Enter Carnage or something like that.
Enter Carnage or Rise of Carnage or something. Yeah.
The Electric Boogaloo.
Let there be carnage.
Let there be carnage. Yeah. Venom 2, Electric Boogaloo. Dune 2021 just came out. I watched it. It was excellent. I really enjoyed it. Now I'm a major Dune fan, so I was probably not going to be disappointed anyway. But I thought it did a good job of hitting all the major points and saving things for the second part that's going to come out in 2020.
Which was the day after it came out, they signed it. They were like, "Yep, okay."
Yeah, we definitely and I think it's cool splitting it because it's a book you can do better justice to, splitting it in half.
Now I'm surprised though that they didn't film them both and then just figured they'll release the second, like they did with most of
Like-
the other movies.
Well, they did that with Lord of the Rings. They filmed all three at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think they kind of like felt like it was a guarantee that Lord of the Rings was going to do well. And Dune wasn't much of a guarantee when you figure how much of a bomb the David Lynch version was,
True.
and that it's a book that's been notoriously hard to film. But I think they did a good job. And then the other big release, which actually came out, I think comes out at midnight tonight, is The Eternals. I don't know what to think about this.
I don't know much about them, so I'm going to reserve my, opinion until I see it. I think.
I think that's why it's getting mixed reviews because not a lot of people do know a lot about them.
And
And-
I know they like gender swap some characters and change the races of some characters, but it's not a franchise that I'm familiar with about anyway to be up in arms about it. And I think it looks like the kind of franchise where something like that would actually work.
I would think it would.
Didn't Marvel have another like family of super beings or something that they tried bringing out either as a television series or something?
Oh, it was the Inhumans.
Been
The
human.
Inhumans. Okay.
It was like a spinoff of Agents of Shield.
Right.
Yeah.
It bombed hard.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
bombed- It bombed
And
so
that's- they're
it
not
bombed,
a-
bombed so hard that the last couple seasons of Agents of Shield aren't considered canon.
It bombed so hard because what they did was they took the Inhuman Medusa, instead of having her living hair, they shaved her head off.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
major power she has, they shaved off. I think in the first episode.
Yeah. and- so it's like,
It's also hard to sell when your main character is mute.
Yeah. Can we
Black
mention
Bolt's a
some
cool
of the
character in the comic books.
What were you saying, Kev?
Can we mention some of the trailers that dropped most recently?
Sure.
One in particular, the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, I just saw that yesterday.
Oh my
That
god!
looks really good.
Yes.
It does.
So I made a joke earlier about how like some people are still like kind of up in arms about whether or not Disney buying Lucas was a good move or not. I think when it comes to the movies, which are run by Kathleen Kennedy, hit or miss. But the TV series, which have all been run by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, have been total hits.
Yeah.
So I mean, The Mandalorian was amazing. So I'm only expecting good things out of Boba Fett.
Yes.
And I think
And-
it's a carryover into season 3 of The Mandalorian.
They should make like a crossover, the Macho Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, not the Iron Mandalorian.
Yeah. This is the way.
Yeah, here he is.
And the Batman trailer that launched.
Macho Mandalorian.
Macho Mandalorian.
But
that-
I'm partial to Iron Mandalorian.
I like that one too.
The Batman trailer, that was the final trailer just released. That looks
Yeah.
It already looked amazing.
Yeah.
That final chapter, it's got me like I just looked to see the release date and it's not till March. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because it looks really badass. And I just saw the trailer for oh shit. What did I say, Mike, earlier? I said I just saw the trailer. Oh, Morbius.
Morbius. Yeah.
It's the
Morbius,
Marvel-
yes, that was the other one I wanted to mention.
That looks like a pile of shit.
Yeah.
That one looks like a CGI fest.
Yeah.
And I'm not sold on Jared Leto in the superhero movies. He's already dropped the ball with the Joker.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. He hasn't come through. No, those are good points.
Stick to doing serious films.
And I think I can mention this. It's not an official movie. It was just a screen test. Not sure if you guys saw it.
The
It was
Robin Williams thing.
The Robin Williams one.
I
I didn't
don't-
mention that, Brad.
It's not a screen
Okay,
test
I
for
see
an
that.
actual movie.
Mhm.
So I looked into it. It's a comedian who does a Robin Williams impression. Like wrote and produced that segment and was trying to use it as a way of selling the idea of a biography to studios in Hollywood.
It was
'Cause
amazing.
it's really, really good. But Robin Williams' daughter came out and said something about how there was no biography in the works at this time. And it was just that this comedian was trying to drum up interest in it with the show, which I'd be interested to see. It looked really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Mike, I'll
he's
send you the
not
link.
a-
It's really cool.
Okay.
He's not a spot on like like do not a spot on like doppelganger, I guess, right? But the mannerisms,
Mhm.
the voice and the facial expressions are all just like dead on.
It's not like it's not like an impression that like a stand-up comedian would do, where it's like a little like over the top.
Yeah.
It's like he's not perfect in his impression, but it's good enough to be pretty like eerie in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was under on YouTube, but let's see if I can find it. Oh,
I
here it
think
is.
they may. Oh, did you find it? Okay.
I think I found it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Jamie Costa's Robin Williams impersonation leaves fans wanting this film. So I'll send that to you, Mike.
All right. That's good.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, I love Robin Williams, so I would love to see a biography about his life. Yeah, I feel like that they would end up giving it to somebody with a bigger name.
Probably.
Unfortunately,
could hurt it
because somebody would probably do a worse job, but he's a bigger name, so he gets it.
And then that person would end up doing like a bad impression.
Right. They probably give it to like Al Pacino.
Good morning, Vietnam.
She had a great ass.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Seize the day, boys.
Carpe fucking diem.
I was gonna make a joke about Al Pacino, like all his great roles, The Godfather, Serpico, when he does that Dunkin' Donuts rap, and Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill. All right, let's talk about some drinks, gentlemen. Kevin, what are you drinking this evening?
Well, up until about a minute ago, it was a gin and tonic.
We took so long to get through the opening segment. Like,
we have to get refills before we start the main segment.
It was about a gin and tonic, and it was good. I had some tonic water, not the best, but I had fresh lime, squeezed a half of a fresh lime in it. But right now I'm raiding my father's liquor cabinet. What?
Yes, Bullet Bourbon is really good.
Ooh. I can smell it from here.
That warmed me up.
Yeah, it gave me chills.
It warmed me up.
So I am going to go second tonight, which I think is a first for this show. I am drinking an Oktoberfest that is 6.9% alcohol by volume from Antietam Brewery in Maryland. And the reason I am drinking this is because A, it's the fall still. B, I love a good Oktoberfest. And C, it was given to me by my good friend Michael, who recently took a brewery tour of Maryland, and he's going to tell us about it right now.
Well, more than just a brewery tour. It was a drinking tour.
Yeah.
We went there to see the battlefield, because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But while we were there, we went to Antietam Creek's Vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
Nice winery right at the battlefield. Their wines are a little less oaky than some wines, so if you don't like that oaky taste, it's good wines there. Then we went down to a place called Pathfinder's Farm, where we had the red corn moonshine. Leo knows all about that.
Yes, I do. I had to push my eye back into my head afterwards.
That's a small little distillery. I mean, they have like 4 moonshines. And when I say they make an apple pie moonshine, there's slices of apple throughout the whole jar. But it's a nice little place. I like the moonshine. Leo thought it was a little rough.
A little bit.
A
little bit.
After that, we went to a place called Kushawa Brewing Company. I would not give that place high marks. The Pilsner was dark and hoppy. Yes, Kevin, that's exactly. I did not finish all the beers for my taster there because it's all too hoppy, and most of them were just too dark.
Thank God it was was it a flight or was it just a taster?
It was a flight.
Okay.
I got through 2 of the 5.
Oh, okay. That's a shame.
Yeah, and then actually right down the street from it was another brewery. The next building over called Homemade Brewing Company. Unfortunately, they didn't have a flights to buy there. And I wasn't going to sit there and buy a lot of beers because Adrian doesn't drink beer. But I like the setup because it's the place that we could go, sit down, have beers, and they had a pizza shop right in there. Kind of cool. Then we went to what's the place called? Stone House Urban Winery. That was some good wine. I mean, their sweet wines were really good. A lot of fruity wines, really nice. We had some of the blackberry Merlot, Leo, the other night. That was good. My wife bought 3 or 4 bottles, including a ice Riesling. And then we went to Antietam Brewing Company, which is not actually in Antietam. It's in Hagerstown, which is what I'm drinking tonight. The long neck lager.
Tell me as I'm drinking a glass full of lies.
I am not drinking a glass full of lies. The long neck lager, really smooth. I like it. I also have the General's Golden Ale. I thought was really nice. You have the Oktoberfest. So there's 3 good beers right there. And there's a couple other ones I liked. I just don't remember the names off the top of my head. The last place we went to was Minderschmidt's Distillery. They make whiskey. They're a brand new distillery.
Oh, you were telling me about that. Yeah.
It tasted like a brand new distillery. The guy was saying, after you finish this barrel, we'll go to our oldest barrel of 6 months old. I'm like, whiskey should not be drank that early. So
should not be advertised in months.
Yes, should not be in months.
This is our oldest whiskey. We made it 7 days ago.
I mean, it's got potential, but it tastes like.
Yeah, I said like if they survive past their initial year, you go back there in like 2 or 3 years, that whiskey probably tastes a lot better.
Probably.
Yep.
It'll be done in about 5 minutes. I would like to call out our fans, our
3 of them.
Our listeners.
Our listeners, my dad, your dad.
I've been searching high and low in every Acme I could find for the Ivan's Spiced Wafer Ale. And to my knowledge, they collaborated with Acme, so it's only available on Acme. It's a spiced wafer ale with hints of chocolate and caramel malts. I cannot find it. I would love to try it before the fall ends. It's produced by Conshohocken Brewing Company. But if anybody has an eye on this or knows a person who knows a person who knows a guy, we'd love to try some. So
yes, we would.
Maybe we should just take a ride out to Conshohocken.
Where's that at?
Conshohocken?
It's right by the curve off of 76.
Where everybody gets backed up at.
Yeah, the Conshohocken. Every day you listen to traffic in the morning, there's always a jam at the Conshohocken curve.
That's because they're getting that beer.
So yeah, I'd like to try it. My wife actually wants to try it, and she's not a beer person, so I'd love to try to get my hands on it. Mike, I've officially killed this crowler you gave me.
Oh, well,
and we haven't even got to the main segment yet.
That's why I said we got to take a break before the main segment. I'm out of beer too.
I'm good.
Good. You got bourbon. So our main segment this evening is all about fan theories. So we broke it down into 3 categories. We have interesting fan theories. These are ones that have a slight possibility of being true, or at least make some semblance of sense. We have the out there fan theories, which are the ones that are just too unbelievable to like think could actually possibly be true. And then we have a very short list of ones that were proven true, or at least whoever created this franchise or whatever have confirmed it to be true. And then I got a little bonus theory at the end about the Pixar films that I threw in there. So let's talk about some interesting fan theories. So I'd like to say this was Kevin's idea for this show.
Hey, Lee, let's take a break so I can get beer.
Yeah, go ahead, take a break. I'm gonna pause the recording. So
yes, I have come back with General's Golden Ale, 5.4% alcohol by volume.
yeah, I was choking on a candy corn. Candy corn goes well with Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
If you
So, we are back for our main segment. Mike made us take a break so he can beer himself.
Hey, it is film and fermentation.
So our main segment, as I said, is all about fan theories. So we're going to get first into the list of interesting fan theories, ones that possibly could be true or at least make a little bit of sense. And the first one comes to us, Kevin. This is your one, I think, the Rock one.
Yeah.
So the movie The Rock, starring Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris, John Patrick Mason, which is the character that Sean Connery plays in the film. The fan theory is that he is a disavowed 007, which would mean that The Rock is part of the James Bond universe.
Well, I could go with a 00 agent, but I will disprove some 007 stuff later.
Yeah, but it's Sean Connery, so it could be the first 007. Remember, he's Sean Connery. He doesn't shed the accent.
No. We'll move once we move to B.
Kev, you brought this one up. You want to elaborate on it a little bit?
So it you go through YouTube and every nut job that has a camera and a microphone spouted off about. Not everyone. No, this one, the guy had a lot of good evidence, and I had seen The Rock only a handful of times, and I am not as well versed in 007, so I can admit to 2 of these things. My lack of knowledge could be playing into my ignorance and just believing that this is what it is. But the way it's broken down is that the character that Sean Connery plays is a 00 agent who had to kind of sacrifice his freedom and become incarcerated in order to keep the secrets of the organization, but he is the 007 agent from the previous movies, but never really acknowledges it, because that would kind of feed into or that would acknowledge what he's been trying to hide for so long.
So for those of you listening out there, you can see how insane some of these theories are just from that first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta go out on and like reach for some of these stories that you hear for these theories.
Again, I can buy the 00 agent, get disavowed, just not a James Bond.
Which it brings us to our second one, which is the one that Mike has been chomping at the bit to disprove. And that is that James Bond and the call sign 007 are both code names for multiple agents, meaning that all of the actors who have played James Bond are not the same person, but multiple people using the same code name.
Okay, are you ready
Go
the
for it.
disprovement? In the 6th film on Her Majesty's Secret Service, who was it? George
Lazenby, yeah, the one and done Bond.
Yes, gets married, and his wife gets killed by Blofeld, which shows up in several of the other movies throughout the series as a main bad guy. He's the guy with the white cat.
He's Spectre.
He's Spectre, yeah, but he's played by like 5 different
Dr.
characters.
Evil.
He's played by 5 different actors too.
So So maybe
But what-
Blofeld's a code name.
But here's where we disprove it. In
Okay.
the pre-credit sequel of For Her Eyes Only, which is Roger Moore's 5th film, he is at Tracy Bond's grave. If he was not the person that married her, why would he be there with Blofeld in that scene?
Because maybe
There's
they're just writing it off because George Lazenby sucked.
Well, they could, but the problem with
This
it,
guy's last name was Laserbeam.
I would go with that.
Laser, taser.
I would go with that if the next movie after On Our Majesty's Secret Service was a Roger Moore film, but it wasn't. They brought back Sean Connery for one more movie. Then
Well, here I have two theories for either proving it or disproving it. So for the disprove, it's that every one of these guys likes a vodka martini shaken, not stirred. There can't be that many different people out there who would drink a martini that way.
and they all like one of the PKs.
Because it should be gin and vermouth. I'm sorry. And my theory for proving that the theory is correct is that what if James Bond is just a Time Lord?
Well, that's if he's a Time Lord, that's a whole nother issue. That means it's still the same
wait a
guy with
second,
a different face.
And again, I'm going to have to plead ignorance, but is it possible that when James Bond married this woman, she also had to take on a moniker, a code name, if you will?
Yeah, like she
know?
went with the name Tracy Bond.
Yeah, Tracy Bond. Yeah,
I imagine it's hard to get a mortgage when you have to use a secret agent's name.
They're secret agents. They don't need to apply for regular mortgages. They're no mortal humans.
Yeah, like how does a secret agent get married?
Especially if his name is not real.
Yeah. I feel like that would be frowned upon by the organization. Our third one here we have is Frozen, Tangled, Tarzan, and The Little Mermaid all take place in the same universe.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about. Especially
This one has to go with, well, it has to do with the fact that in The Little Mermaid, which is the first of these films, she swims in and out of a ship that's sunk on the bottom, and this is where she gets a lot of the human objects that she's so fascinated with.
Gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Yes, like the doofle hopper or whatever the fuck the fork is she puts in her hair.
Dingle Hopper.
Mhm.
Dingle hopper. There you go. Doofle hopper is some guy from Germany. So
He made your beer.
yeah, he made my beer. So there's so the ship has like has like one of the women, the bust on the front of the ship of like a woman. And when you see the ship in Frozen, that Anna and Elsa's parents disappear on, the ship has a very similar bust on the front. And Tarzan's parents were drowned on a ship that sank that had a very similar thing. So the theory is that Tarzan is Anna and Elsa's little brother.
Yes, I've heard that one.
I don't know where Tangled comes into this though. I don't
Tangled
know.
Was.
Oh,
Go ahead,
I know,
you got
I know. Rapunzel and the dude, where the fuck his name is, are like
Diggler.
Dirk Diggler. They're in the parade scene, like in the background or something, right? When Anna and Elsa are like
Eugene.
Yeah. Eugene, yeah.
Eugene.
Was it like
Dirk? Whatever.
Like Ryder was the name he went by or something?
Yeah, it's like Ryder. Yeah.
Dirk Ryder.
Dirk Ryder. Dirk Diggler. Chess Rockwell.
Well, that's going to be something. I mean, you're going to talk about the Pixar movies later. I think Disney does have a subtle way of connecting things without saying it's connected.
Yeah.
So
it keeps people talking about it. I like the next one because it's a Star Wars one. Boba Fett is the one who killed Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, which is why Darth Vader tells him no disintegrations in Empire Strikes Back.
The problem with that is their skeletal remains were there.
Yeah. And
so if you disintegrate them, they wouldn't be anything there.
and like, why not have Boba Fett there with the stormtroopers if that's the case?
But in the special edition, whatever you want to call them, Boba Fett makes his appearance early rather than as a Hutt bounty hunter. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like
rather than-
he wasn't working for Darth Vader in a New
No,
Hope.
he wasn't.
Oh,
So I mean, I think we could, as cool as that would be, I think we could shoot that one down.
Yeah.
I think this will be addressed in the book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be awesome. He doesn't be just randomly disintegrate somebody. He already did it. They already did it in Mandalorian when he shoots the Jawas with his pole thing. They like disintegrate.
nothing left but the
but the robes.
robe.
This one's a cool one. J.K. Rowling herself disavowed this one, so this one's already been proven to not be true. Although I think it would have made more sense if you said it was true.
Yeah.
That in the Harry Potter universe, the Dursleys were mean to Harry because he was a Horcrux, and Horcruxes have negative effects on people. And that would explain why they shoved him under the stairs and were just generally mean to him and everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
J.K. Rowling shot it down. She just wanted the Dursleys just to be shitty people. You know. The next one's a good one. Pulp Fiction. The briefcase that John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are sent to retrieve contains the soul of their boss, Marcellus Wallace. So in the scene, they find it. It's a good one. They find a briefcase. They open it up. You never see what's inside it. But when Vince Vega, John Travolta's character, opens it up, it's glowing like a gold glow, like
a gold light just
shining on him. And Sam Jackson is like, you know, are we good? And he's like, yeah, we fucking good. You know, and he closes the lid and you never know what's in there. And then later on, when the restaurant's getting robbed and Tim Roth asks to see what's inside the briefcase, he opens it up and he's like, is that what I think it is? And then like, that's another theory. Like maybe it's the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
You know, like he's looking at this and like, you know, go ahead.
And the other link to it is the Band-Aid that goes along the back of the neck.
Later on, you see Marcellus Wallace, the back of his head, he has a Band-Aid on the back of his neck, and supposedly it's supposed to be covering up the hole where his soul was sucked out or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Quentin Tarantino said that the Band-Aid was there because he cut himself shaving his head, and Tarantino said just leave it in because he just thought it was a cool little detail.
Mm-hmm.
And he himself has said that they never wrote in the script what was in the briefcase. In the script, it just says... It says like, you know, open briefcase, bright light shines. It was a light bulb inside the briefcase. So when he opened it up, the light bulb turned on. So that's what made the glow. But he didn't, you know, he said he likes the fact that fans are speculating on what's in there. And he thinks the soul is like a really cool thing that he himself didn't think of. And he's like, I wish I had thought of that myself. So it's a MacGuffin. Yeah. So it's been
McMuffin. Yeah.
A MacGuffin. Yes.
It's a whole crux.
It's a Horcrux. Yeah. It's the term is MacGuffin.
That's what I said.
You said McMuffin.
Kevin's hungry.
Yes, the McMuffin is a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's. A MacGuffin is a item in movies that are just used to move the plot along.
His soul is in the McMuffin.
His soul is it's the Marcellus Wallace McDonald's McMuffin.
Here's the funny thing, guys.
Sausage, egg, cheese, and my soul. Well, shit, Negro, that's all you need to say.
Here's the funny thing. These are
Damn,
the ones,
this is good.
These are the ones we think are plausible.
This burger
out
is
there.
good.
Yeah,
Shake.
This is a tasty McMuffin. May I have a drink of this shake to wash this McMuffin down?
Say what again?
Say what again, motherfucker? I dare you. I double dare you. Say what one more goddamn time.
What?
Does Marcellus Wallace
with cheese?
Does Marcellus Wallace look like a bitch? What?
Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
Which is actually true.
And Mike is right. Like these are the interesting theories, and these are just out there as the out there ones are.
No, Kevin, the Royale with cheese is an actually true statement.
Yeah, Mike's
And
from
you're
Europe. He can tell.
it's true.
He's like, I don't have it ain't a metric system over there. I don't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
Royale with cheese and
Royale with
pumpkin.
cheese.
So my next one here is Stan Lee was the Watcher in the MCU, which explains all of his cameo appearances. As fun as that one is, that was already proven to be untrue. Both in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he's talking to the Watchers, and in the What If series, where the Watcher is a major character
Yes.
and looks and sounds a lot like Jeffrey Wright. The last one we have on our interesting theories one, I love this one. I wish this one is true, but it hasn't been proven or debunked yet, but it's a really cool one. Owen Grady, which is the character that Chris Pratt plays in Jurassic World, is the kid that makes fun of the raptor at the beginning of Jurassic Park. The one that Sam Neill threatens with the raptor nail.
That's the one in front of you. It's the other two that come at you from the side.
And I would say, like, that would be cool if that was like true, because it's like, oh, he was so affected by that moment where Sam Neill threatened to slice him open with a raptor nail.
Right.
That it made him want to
eat your intestines.
it made him want to be a paleontologist who trained raptors one day.
That kid was actually, I mean, he did grow up and continue to act, and it would have been awesome to have him in it, you know, or at least get him into a role somewhere along the lines, because in the
You should have been a security guard that gets eaten outside the Indominus stage. That's what happens when you don't respect them.
his name is Whit Hertford. Oh,
Not to be confused with Finn Wolfhard.
That's right.
So I drank this. I'm almost done this entire 6.9% volume alcohol. I'm slurring.
Yeah, he's already in bad shape, guys.
We still got 2 more lists to get through.
Yeah.
So let's get to it. The next is our totally out there theories, and this is the really fun one. First off, starting with a couple quick Star Wars ones. Jar Jar Binks is the Sith Lord.
Well, we should treat him like one and take him out.
Yeah.
Look, they're trying to make something, a character that should have been like just taken off the storyboard from the very beginning, trying to give him some fraction of a piece of like necessity for this series, because he was a waste.
Make him
of space.
interesting in some way.
Make him less hated?
He was a multi-million-dollar mistake because of how much they spent on all the CGI for him.
The theory
What
comes.
are you talking about?
How rude! The theory comes from the fact that he's the reason that the Emperor gets the clone army in the second film.
He is,
because he gives emergency power to Palpatine.
Just because he's stupid doesn't make him a Sith Lord.
No, it means
maybe it's smart.
It's strategic because he's smart. He's playing the dumb guy. Everybody was waiting for Snoke to like pull his face off, and Jar Jar Binks was underneath it. Like some really, really disappointing Scooby-Doo reveal. I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
You meddling kids.
Rude. And that leads to Snoke is Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Which gets proven wrong.
Which gets proven wrong in the Rise of Skywalker retcon, where he's just a bunch of clones.
Yeah.
That were under control of Palpatine. Which is, I think, where they're going with the Mandalorian. That Baby Yoda was where they were getting the blood from for the Snoke clones.
That's where they wanted to get it from, yeah.
The Snoke clones, not the snow cones.
And I think that's the way they went.
Snow cones.
And that's how they added into the Bad Batch when they took the one cloner.
Mm.
They took her at the end.
Forgot about that. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that because I still haven't watched any of the cartoons.
So they're trying to try that. They're trying to fix all this mess with everything else.
Fix the plot holes.
They are.
So I started reading the one book you got me, Mike, the first one, and I got through the first chapter so far, and they spend a whole chapter building up this character and how great she is, and then fucking kill her at the end of the chapter.
It's Game of Thrones all over again.
I hate when they do shit.
Star Wars version.
Star Wars Game of Thrones that gets sucked out into space. The events of Harry Potter were just the dreams of a boy trapped under the stairs. Not only is that depressing, that would have destroyed the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Like
that makes sense.
That's like a cheap out when you had the character wake up and it was all a dream.
Hmm.
You know, I mean that's talk about movie cliches. That's a
Nice.
cliche that's been around for forever. And that's how they explain the death of so many characters in so many different TV shows. So speaking of that, Ferris Bueller isn't real. He's a figment of Cameron's subconscious.
That's a tough sell.
It's a tough sell. I mean, it's interesting to think like, oh, it's just he's Cameron's id, and it's what makes Cameron do all the things he does.
Yeah, but what about Ferris's girlfriend?
Yeah, it's like how do you explain Stallone unless Stallone was really Cameron's girlfriend the whole time?
Right.
They are holding hands in the scene. But it doesn't explain that Ferris is the one narrating the entire story.
Right. It's from his perspective.
Unless it's a Fight Club thing.
Oh.
And Ferris Bueller is Cameron's Tyler Durden.
But then what would the kids be going? Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller.
Yeah, there's more holes.
No,
There's more holes in this theory. Yeah. There's more holes in this theory than Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole sister thing and the parents and yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, but yeah, it's definitely not. It's definitely
no. It's
definitely doesn't work.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka. So we're talking about the Gene Wilder one. Was a cannibal.
How did they come up with this one?
Yeah,
you never see the kids again afterwards, and he plumps them up and covers them in chocolate. And
That's
I would say the Oompa Loompas were maybe
the Oompa Loompas were cannibal. I had always made a joke about it being that Willy Wonka whacked all the kids because you never see them again. And then they changed that in the Johnny Depp one where you see the kids again at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
All like stretched out of shape and shit. Willy Wonka's a cannibal. He's not a cannibal. He's a chicken killer. If you watch that scene real closely where they're on the boat.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a psychopath, maybe a little bit of a sociopath as well. But definitely not a cannibal.
A little bit.
Does he commit infanticide in the film? It's up for debate.
That's another episode.
Another episode. Was Willy Wonka a child murderer? Sandy died at the beginning of the movie Grease.
Yes.
He drowned.
She drowned in the ocean. So everything after that is just like,
That's why the car flies off at the end.
Yeah, it's some
That's right.
It's like some, heaven created dream or something like that.
Yeah, she goes from a nice heavenly girl to,
Whore.
leather and
Leather clad whore.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Maybe the movie takes place in purgatory and the car takes her into heaven.
Dressed like someone from from hell, right?
Yeah.
Well, St. Peter needs a little eye candy.
So I'll throw the wrench in this one. It doesn't explain the subplot with the one girl Rizzo thinking she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Or the T-Birds and the Pink Ladies just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And if it's her dream, why would she have a dream about Frenchie having a dream about the angel coming down and singing to her?
True enough.
That's kind of a really specific tangent to have in your dream.
Beauty school
dropout. No graduation day for you. This one's really bizarre. And I've never heard of this one. I think, Kev, you put this on here. I'd never heard of this one until now. Plane, trains, and automobiles. Dell actually killed his wife.
She's in the case.
What's in the box? What's in the box? This one is fucking bizarre. Oh no. I can definitely disprove this one because he does open the box at one point so he can sell a bunch of the shower curtain rings to people so they can make money to get home. He sells the shower and curtain rings as earrings.
He does.
So that they can make money to get home. But I want to meet the person who came up with that fucking theory.
How much were they smoking?
His wife was in the case. So he basically made Steve Martin help him carry his wife's dead body around the whole movie.
Steve Martin tripped over the dead body.
What happened is they eventually dropped the box, opened it up, and there was a giant hair dryer in it.
and I can't live without
And
Without
he threw
it.
it down again. He goes, "It's lighter now, isn't it? Oh yeah, I could carry 6 or 7 of these now."
What you said
And
3
John
dudes
Candy
ago.
will be carrying around a case again.
Shrek. Donkey is actually one of the Pleasure Island kids from Pinocchio.
I think this one might hold water.
That one makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, the donkeys were children at one point. They could talk.
They were a
Yeah,
bit of a pain in the ass. No
except
pun
in,
intended.
well, at least Disney's version, the donkeys turned total a donkey and couldn't talk after a while.
Well, yeah. I mean, this isn't Disney. This is DreamWorks. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it does. It's a theory. I think that at least
It's plausible.
holds up. It's plausible. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of what
Other fairy tales
fairy
out there.
tale he would have come from.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that involves a talking
Right.
donkey. So,
And he was right there along with Pinocchio when when Geppetto was selling Pinocchio or turning Pinocchio in.
Yeah, I think that one actually makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
As opposed to the next one, that Breaking Bad is a prequel to The Walking Dead.
Where did they get that from?
Because it has something to do with the meth that he makes in Breaking Bad.
The blue ice,
The blue ice, I think they call it, and
blue sky,
and
something
the blue
like that.
sky, and it like that was the cause for the zombie apocalypse or something.
That's a tough sell, but it's interesting.
There's more to the theory than that, and I can't think of it all, but it's a stretch. And the last one we have for crazy theories, I love this one. Mary Poppins is a Time Lord like Doctor Who.
Her umbrella actually transforms into a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, her umbrellas are sonic screwdriver. She has a companion. So it's Dick Van Dyke in the original movie, Lin-Manuel Miranda in the new one.
Bert.
She changes her look but stays young. She returns to England a lot. She has these. Sure. She can fly, which is a weird power to have. Her bag is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, which is Time Lord technology. This one I like a lot because I've actually read up on this theory because I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I don't think
it's not true. I mean, Mary Poppins was a novel that was written 20 years before the first episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
If anything, Doctor Who could have been based on Mary Poppins. But that brings us to theories that are actually true.
Bum bum bum.
Bum bum bum. Blade Runner, Deckard is a replicant.
Yeah.
So this was confirmed. Yeah. So this is a funny one because it was confirmed by Ridley Scott, who's the director of the original film, but was denied by Harrison Ford, who starred as Deckard. Harrison Ford really believes that Deckard was human, which shows you how much care he put into the second film, where he's playing the same character.
Yeah.
RoboCop is a Christ story. This is confirmed by director Paul Verhoeven.
I find it hard to believe RoboCop could walk on water.
He did. He does at the end.
Yeah, I think he'd sink to the bottom.
He walks on water at the end. You know, when they kill him, his arms are out like this. He comes back from the dead. You know, stabs dudes in the neck with spikes, shoots people in the face. Just like Jesus.
Which is just along the same lines as preaching to the people for peace.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jesus did it. He came back from the dead. He moved the rock out of the way, pulled out a shotgun, blew away the Roman soldiers.
I don't remember that. So they
That's where they got the movie. There's another movie based on that, too. It's called Hobo with a Shotgun. Stars Rucker Hauer. RoboCop is a Christ story. I'd buy that for $1.
Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
All Tarantino films occupy the same universe. A TCU, if you please.
Oi.
So Tarantino himself looks at it as two universes that exist in one. Because he's Tarantino and he can be fucking quirky like that.
Okay.
Most of his movies exist in the same universe, like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They all exist in the same universe because they have characters with either the same names, like Michael Madsen and Vince and John Travolta's characters are actually brothers. Vince Vega and Vincent Vega. Vic Vega and Vincent Vega. Like they originally were going to do a movie with the two of them called The Brothers Vega. But the two actors got too old to play the part. So he looks at it as like all those movies are connected, and then movies like From Dusk Till Dawn and Kill Bill and other ones that have like fantastical elements like that are like the movies that the people in his other universe would watch themselves.
He has issues.
The man who
I was going to say some of them take place in the 1800s, don't they?
Yeah,
The
so you got like Django. So Django Unchained, according to Quentin Tarantino again, Django saves his wife from Calvin Candy, the Leonardo DiCaprio character. His wife's name is oh god, what the hell was the Broomhilde von Schaft? The character's name was Broomhilde von Schaft because she was taken in by German settlers and she learned German and all that stuff.
Naturally.
Now Django would take her name because he didn't know what his name was, so he would take the von Schaft name. And over years, they would get rid of the German sounding part, the von part, and just keep it as Shaft. So Django and Broomhilde are ancestors of Shaft.
Shut your mouth.
That is a Tarantino
Oh man,
approved theory. What else? Yeah, well, you got
Toy Story 2.
You got Hateful Eight. You got Inglourious Bastards. Like they're all historical. Like those are like Inglourious Bastards, especially is historical fiction.
Yes.
You know, because he changes the way Hitler dies at the end of the story. Toy Story 2. Andy's mom in Toy Story is Jesse's original owner, Emily.
Makes sense.
I don't know who claimed that this is true, but it's under the list of true. So I'm guessing that Pixar or Disney or something admitted that was the story.
I think I listed it. I think I seen it somewhere, maybe a documentary or something.
Yeah, it might be in that Pixar theory thing that I linked on the bottom there. And the last one we have, in Aladdin, the genie is also the peddler who is narrating the beginning of the movie.
Well, they made that in the live action to be true.
And it's also voiced, they're both voiced by Robin Williams, so it might as well be true.
Yeah.
So the last one we have here is our Pixar fan theory. So I'm going to bring up the website real quick. And what it does is it attaches each of these stories to each other in some like crazy way. So it all starts with Brave. Merida in Brave discovers the will-o'-the-wisps. The magic turns her mother into a bear. The magic is why animals and inanimate objects behave like humans. Magic was utilized by a witch who mysteriously vanishes through wooden doors. Eventually, the magic from the will-o'-the-wisp would lead to the birth of superheroes like the Incredibles. The Incredibles, their main villain in the first film is Syndrome, who uses 0 point energy. 0 point energy would eventually be absorbed by toys, using the unseen energy to become living beings, which leads to the Toy Story films. The Toy Story films are connected to Finding Nemo. Let's see how that is. Resentment towards humans, as presented in Toy Story 2, is carried over to animals as well, which leads to Finding Nemo. Animals become more curious and start carrying human characteristics, which leads to Ratatouille.
That one is Toy Story.
Such a stretch.
Toy Story 3.
That leads to Toy Story 3 somehow. The toys are planning on living in solitude or whatever. That leads to Up. Up is where Carl is forced to leave his house, and he finds an army of dogs that have been trained to, hunt animals and humans and stuff. And this leads to a war between animals and humans. And when the war comes to fruition, all that's left are mechanical beings like the cars.
Wow.
Which leads to WALL-E 700 years later. when the world has, finally fell apart, which leads to Bugs Life, where the bugs are taking over because there's no humans to destroy them, which leads to Monsters University. Because at this point, the humans have returned to Earth. I'm at the end of Wall-E.
It's on the wall, yeah.
And then the last film in the link is Monsters Inc. Monsters and machines realize their mistake of getting rid of humans. They eventually realize the humans were a source of energy and needed to sustain life. Machines help solve that by letting monsters use doors to time and travel to the human generations. This leads us to Boo. And Boo takes us back to the beginning because the theory is that Boo is the witch that gives the will-o-wisp power to Merida and Brave.
Because she went through a door from
a time door, yeah. To that I say, fuck no.
That's a stretch.
That
Very
is
much of a
a
stretch.
lot of stretch. I actually hurt myself stretching so much.
Yeah.
Now there are things like in Monsters Inc. There's like a mobile hanging from the ceiling that has a little Nemo guy hanging off of it. And then
there was something from another movie in like every movie.
Yeah, there's something. There's one. I think it's the Emperor's New Groove where he's like putting little toys on top of each other, and one of them is the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Dumbo in Finding Nemo in the dentist's office, the little boy is reading a Mr. Incredible comic book.
And Lilo and Stitch, there's a Dumbo on the bed.
Yeah, so I mean, there's things that connect all the movies that are more plausible than this list I just summarized.
They connect them, but they don't really. It doesn't mean it's the same.
That's really, really stretching it. All right, I'm gonna pause the recording. So thank you for joining us for episode 37 of Films and Fermentation. Interesting fan theories. Join us for our next episode, episode 38, where we will be discussing some of the most popular and craziest movie cliches that are out there based on the Attack of the Cliche film that you can find on Netflix right now. So thank you for joining us again. Make sure you drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com. Visit us on facebook.com/filmsandfermentation, Instagram @filmsandfermentation, or please check out our website and our new blog section, filmsandfermentation.weebly.com. And don't forget to check out some of our mini pods as well. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us at the crossroads of pickled and fermented. Cheers, everybody. That is not going to be our theme song. I'm not writing a theme song just so you can overtake me with that one.
Well, you said thank you. I wanted to thank people too.
Thank you.
Poor Dido.
I'm limited with the buttons I have here, so come on.
It's better than whatever you were playing earlier.
Oh, the samba?
Yeah.